What is going on, guys? I'm glad to be back. Talk about some fights, talk about some current events, fights this weekend. I know it's been a little bit, but just been really busy. You guys know how it goes. So, where do we start with this podcast? I guess we should probably start with Canelo versus Triple G 2. First off, before I start talking about this fight, I want to say it was an instant classic. I think we'll look back when we are older and say, wow, we got to see that live. It was a great fight. Could have gone either way, but, you know, people were complaining on both sides. I complained at first, which I'll get into in a few, but, you know, it was a great fight. We should all be happy. The only winner is, the only winner is the fans. And obviously Canelo, and really Triple G, because that does set up the third fight, the trilogy with the first fight, the drama with the first fight. So, before I give my breakdown of this fight, I want to start by saying I was 100% Team Triple G. I was Team Triple G not because I dislike Canelo, but I was Team Triple G because the first fight, Triple G was completely robbed. He clearly won that fight 8-4, at least. At least he won 8 rounds. And then you had the Canelo, tainted tacos situation to where, so they were supposed to fight in May, Cinco de Mayo, and then Canelo tests positive for clenbuterol and then blames it on the beef, right? Who knows if it's true? I don't buy it, to be completely honest. I don't buy it at all. But there has been that defense in the past, and it's gone by without question. So, I'm looking at Canelo as he got away with one by getting a draw instead of a decisive loss in the first fight. And he wasn't clean. So that's why I was completely Team Triple G. So, fast forward. Fight doesn't happen in May. If it happens in September. And, man, what a fight. When I watched it live, I thought for sure Triple G won that fight 7-5. I posted on my Facebook a picture of the face-off, and I said, this is corruption because they gave Canelo the nod. So, like any good person in this business should do, any good analyst, any podcaster, writer, any media personality, what you should do is go back and rewatch it and imagine you're rooting for the other guy. The second time I watched it, I was quote-unquote rooting for Canelo. And I had an 8-4 for Canelo. Then rewatched it again, not watching either fighter, because we get in traps when we watch fights. Whoever we want to win, we really just watch that fighter, especially in boxing, because there's not as much going on. Like in MMA, you're looking at the takedowns and submissions and things, but in boxing, it's a more linear, the only one thing to look at. And I didn't look at either fighter. I just watched the fight as a whole. I just watched it broadly. And I had Canelo winning 7-5. So, let me get into my scorecard really quick, which I posted, I believe it was on my Instagram. So, first round, I had Triple G winning, without a doubt. He pressed forward. He had his jab was there, like it always is. Canelo didn't do too much damage. I will say Canelo was pressing forward in the first round, which surprised a lot of people, as Canelo's the counter fighter, Triple G's the pressure fighter. Surprised a lot of people, surprised me, but I had Triple G winning. Second and third rounds, man, very, very close. What I posted on my Instagram was Canelo fuck, I don't know. Because fuck, I don't know. I don't know who won those rounds. A lot of people are talking about robbery. No, I mean, those close rounds in boxing like that can go either way. This is not MMA. In MMA, if it's a close round, you can get a takedown to seal the round or land just one big hand or just one little thing to change the round. Boxing, not so much. Both very close rounds, the second and third. But I gave him to Canelo. I thought his pressure was better. Obviously, the jab was there the whole fight and in these rounds for Triple G. But Canelo landed the more powerful shots. Fourth round for Triple G. Triple G doing Triple G. Fifth round, another for Canelo. And then 6 and 7, I thought clear were for Canelo. 8, Triple G. 9, very close round. The closest round in the fight, I believe, if I remember it correctly. Gave it to Canelo. Round number 9 was extremely close. That's one of the best rounds you're going to see in boxing right now. 10 and 11, I gave it to Triple G. That 10th round, he had Alvarez very, very hurt. Had him wobbled. He shelled up a little bit. Triple G couldn't finish the job. And then 12, I gave it to Canelo. So that's 7 rounds to 5 for Canelo. And 115 to 113, which I believe that was 2 of the judges' scorecards. And I believe that was a fair scorecard. So what's next for these guys? I think that a trilogy should be next. That's the big money fight for Triple G and Canelo. Even though the first fight was technically a draw, everyone knows that Triple G won that first fight, so it really is 1-1. The boxing community knows that. The fight community knows that. The media knows that. I believe Canelo knows that. And they're calling Triple G's team is calling for that third fight in May. Obviously, going to be Cinco de Mayo. Really, the only time those two guys fight is May or September. So, yeah, man, I was really, really surprised. I picked Triple G to win. Canelo got it done. Very close fight. If you had Triple G winning 7-5, can't argue with it. If you had it a draw, could have gone, a draw too. I wouldn't be surprised by that at all either. But in the boxing world, if you have 2 draws back to back, I don't really know if you can make a case for that trilogy. Maybe in that last one you could, because that last one was just an amazing back and forth fight. But I believe right now everyone knows it's 1-1. The next thing to do is that trilogy in May. Everyone wins. Everyone makes money. It's all good. So moving forward from boxing, right? Let's talk about MMA. Let's talk about the UFC this weekend. Mark Hunt versus Alexei Oleinik. First fight in Russia ever. I believe they put 22,000 something butts and seats. I believe it was the 5th largest crowd in UFC history, and this is their first time in Russia, so big deal. Obviously a huge market in Russia. The UFC definitely stacked the card with heavy Russian favorites. Some of the judging was very... The Cajun Johnson fight, I felt he won that fight via split decision. I gave him 2 rounds to 1. I could see it going to split decision. He ended up losing the fight via split decision. And the first thing I thought was, he doesn't want to find a suicide. Those judges don't want to find their suicide notes on the way out. But good card. It was just a little weird how heavily favorited the Russians were. But I guess when you're trying to build that market, of course it makes sense, Put your big Russian guys on there. I think the Russians went 9-1. 9 wins, 1 loss on there. So let's talk about some of these results. Not going to get into all of them, but some of them are definitely worth talking about. So the one American that did win was Jordan Johnson. He defeated Adam Yandiev. Jordan Johnson, his first fight at middleweight, usually a light heavyweight. He looked good. I like that guy. And there was that's a fight. Rustam Khabilov versus Cajun Johnson. If you look at that fight, I thought Cajun Johnson's striking was the best we've seen. It was very technical. He definitely took his time. He looked really good. Even defending the takedowns, he looked really good, which I didn't think. I picked him to get TKO'd, maybe second round, when he was on his back. But he defended those takedowns very well, and I thought he should have won the fight. But obviously those judges. And then Peter Yan versus Jinsu Sun. God, that was a fun fight, man. Those guys, one of the best fights of 2018 thus far. Those guys were just brawling, having fun. Peter Yan threw everything at him. Threw everything that he had at him. And that Korean Soo Sun, he's a killer, man. He took it, hurt Yan a few times. Yan ended up getting it done, unanimous decision, and that it was unanimous. Oh, man, this broke my heart. So I'm not going to try and say this, the Russian guy's last name, but Khalid versus CV Dalloway. Wow. So fight starts. CV Dalloway looks okay. Khalid lands a huge body shot. It was a kick that you could tell hurt him. Didn't drop CB, but you could tell it hurt him. Fight goes on, and I counted 18 punches. I'm not talking like little, annoying punches. I mean, they were haymakers from the top, landed on CB Dalloway, and he's not moving. He's not knocked out cold, but he is clearly not defending himself. Every one of those punches landed in some way, shape, or form, whether it was to the body, the head, the front, the face, the ear. It was landing everywhere, and Herb Dean just said, hey, fight back. That's not good enough. He took 18 punches until the round ended. I don't know what's going on with Herb Dean. Herb Dean, I believe, is one of the best in the business without a doubt. Maybe he thought that CB was just a veteran and he could take it, but that's not how this sport works. Definitely doesn't benefit CB Dalloway at his age. He's not a young guy. Took a lot of shots, and I was yelling at the TV. The round ends, and then CB Dalloway's still not really moving on the ground. And then finally Herb Dean calls it, but I was just yelling. That's inexcusable. Just unbelievable, man. Even if you're the best in the business, you're not going to get away with that when guys like me watch that. The casual fans sometimes don't know what they're looking at, but when you're so invested in the sport, it just sucks to see those guys get pounded like that. But all that aside, Khalid beat CB Dalloway, which is no easy feat, so good for him, man. Big win. Thiago Alves lost a unanimous decision versus Alexei Kunchenko. Kunchenko was 18-0 coming into this fight. Now 19-0. It was his first UFC fight. So good for him. Shamil Khafimov. Dude, I don't know how to say his last name. They're Russians. Beat Andrei Arlovsky, man. Andre looked like he had moments in that fight where he could do something, but he just wouldn't pull the trigger. And it was honestly a snooze fest. Would have liked to see Andre get a win there, even though he's not from Russia, he's from Belarus. But a lot of that region identifies with Russia itself. So would have been cool, but didn't get it done. And then we move on to Jan Blachowicz versus Nikita Krylov. So Nikita Krylov left the UFC for a little while. Came back. He was unranked coming into this fight, obviously, because he's out of the UFC. Fought Jan Blachowicz, who's number 4 in the world. Man, Jan is a stud. He got it done via Darce choke. And then, man, the one fight. If there was one fight that I had to give a pick on where I thought would be a no-brainer, I thought Mark Hunt would knock out Alexei Olenek in the first round. No doubt. Mark Hunt was landing brutal leg kicks, which was nice to see. He's not just staying patient, but behind that right hand. He was actually, using that leg kick that we know that he has. And, man, the video and the pictures of Alexei's legs were super jacked up. Mark Hunt landed a huge right hand. Alexei walked right through, which is crazy because no one does that to Mark Hunt. And then one weird exchange where Alexei barely catches him. It wasn't a power shot. It was just one that Mark didn't see coming. And then a minute later, man, Alexei Olenek chokes out Mark Hunt, which is crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Did not see that one. But, Alexei Olenek, he's got, honestly, I think he has close to 70 professional fights. I think only 11 losses. He's got 12 Ezekiel chokes, which is insane. If you know anything in the jiu-jitsu world, an Ezekiel choke isn't supposed to happen, especially without a gi. That's nuts. 12 rear naked chokes. He's got something crazy like 40-something submissions. So, good for him. The Russian to win his home country, but I was rooting for Mark Hunt. I'm a Mark Hunt fan. He's 44 years old, and I think he's only got one more left in the tank. I know he's trying to get on that next card in Australia. I forget the name of the city, but I believe that's when JDS and Tai Tuivasa are going to fight as well. So I know he's trying to get on that card, and I believe that will probably be his last fight. So that covers Triple G Canelo. That covers UFC Moscow. Now let's get into just a few current events, guys. So I guess Tito and Chuck got announced. That's an absolute shit show. I don't know how those guys are going to get past medicals, but it is what it is. I probably won't buy it, but I know some will. Tyron Woodley released his song, Beat Your Ass. It ain't good. I'll save you 4 minutes of your life. It's not good at all. Yeah, this is a weird one right here, is Conor McGregor versus Khabib. The first press conference is taking place. So I'm recording this on Tuesday. By the time it gets to you guys, it might be Thursday. So bear with me, but there's no fans involved, which I get because the fans are going to be going too crazy, going too wild. I kind of get it, but it's a little weird. It takes away from the hype of the fight. But hopefully that press conference delivers, because I do want this to be the biggest fight card of all time. And speaking of Conor, he just unveiled his Proper 12 whiskey brand. So good for him. I know he was pushing after the Floyd fight for his Notorious whiskey brand. I think there was some lawsuit there because the Notorious brand was already taken. Whatever. Proper 12 sounds good. I'll get me a bottle as well. That's exciting. Johnny Hendricks set to return in bare knuckle fight against Brennan Ward. Oh my God. Look, I like this bare knuckle fighting, and this is not the bare knuckle fighting that we have talked to Dave Feldman on. This is World Bare Knuckle Fighting Federation. Paul Tyler, I've talked to him a lot. I like that guy. But to be completely honest, and this is why I do this, I really like Paul. I don't know why this is your main event. The card is stacked. You have Sean Merriman, you got Chris Lieben, you've got a bunch of studs on this card. Johnny Hendricks, don't care. Brennan Ward, care less. I don't see the interest in it at all. I think Johnny Hendricks gets beat up pretty bad, to be completely honest. And as a main event, I like the fight. That's fine. But as a main event, a little weird. So put that on my not give a shit list for right now. And then let's talk about this one. This is going to be really the last current event we talk about. So Joanna Jędrzejczyk was in Russia, in Moscow, for the fights. One of the Russian media members asked her about the Conor McGregor-Khabib Nurmagomedov fight. And I'm just going to play this clip for you guys because it's hilarious, and this just solidifies why people love Joanna Jędrzejczyk and why she remains to be my favorite female fighter.
About the Khabib against Conor?
Yep.
Just your opinion about it.
I think definitely it's the fight of this century. Anything can happen, two different styles. I like both of the fighters, and I don't like to predict the fight, so you are not going to hear the prediction from me.
Okay, if we have about the behavior, about the You know what I mean?
What, you wanna insult Conor McGregor here? You wanna insult him?
Yeah.
Okay. You wanna insult him? Come here. Come here. What's your name?
So right now, after this reporter is trying, to get some sort of clickbait interview, she goes, "Oh, you want to insult Conor?" And then she brings him. You'd have to look at the video. She brings him up on the stage. There's a microphone right there on the stage in the backdrop. She says, "Oh, you want to insult him? Come up on stage." So she puts him in front of the microphone.
Dima, insult Conor McGregor in the front of the camera. What do you think about him? Come on, be honest.
Yeah, he's a good fighter, but not more. He can speak more than other, but I think that's the...
Okay. Wasn't he a champion in 2 different weight classes? Is he only talking or he's doing stuff?
No, he's doing not.
So why are you saying that he's talking more than doing somehow?
But he's the part of his success, because...
Of course he is.
Yeah, sure. But we have a lot
Are you
of
working
other
for big media or small media? What's your dream? What's your goal in your life?
To be best in my...
To be the best.
Yeah.
Okay.
In my...
you really trying hard?
Profession.
You really trying hard?
So that's kind of it, but it's hilarious, and I like that Joanna is willing to say completely F you to this guy trying to get... Obviously, they're on Khabib's side. They're Russian, but I just loved her response. So that's all the current events I'm going to cover. Be sure to tune in to that press conference on Thursday. And then let's just get into some quick fight predictions. Wow, this card is cursed. So originally, it was supposed to be Jimmy Manuwa versus Glover Teixeira. So Glover gets hurt. This is in Brazil. So Glover being the big draw. So Glover gets hurt. Jimmy's still there. Then they bring in Thiago Santos. He takes the fight. Thiago Santos is number 12 in the world at middleweight. Now he's going to fight at a light heavyweight. Giant guy. Don't know how he makes middleweight. So now it's him versus Jimmy Manuwa in Brazil. And Jimmy Manuwa flies into Brazil. The first day, his last hard workout, he tears tears a ligament, tears something in his leg. I don't quite remember, but it tears something in his leg, and it's more than a 50% tear, so it's a 6 to 8 week recovery period. So now both the guys that were supposed to main event this thing are off, both because of injuries. Now you still got Thiago Santos there, and then now Eric Anders is coming in very short notice. He just had a brutal knockout not long ago. Kicked the dude right in the face. God damn it, Eric Anders. We need to change your nickname. His nickname is Ya Boy. It's fucking awful. Change it. Anyways, so I think Thiago Santos probably gets it done. I like Eric Anders. He's an absolute stud, but on 6 days' notice, that is, Thiago Santos is a tough customer, and Thiago Santos is coming off of a full training camp. Eric Anders is not, and also I hate your nickname, so that adds fuel to the fire. So Alex Oliveira versus Carlo Pedersoli is a co-main event. I like Oliveira in this one. Cowboy Oliveira, number 14 in the world at 170. I like Oliveira here. Sam Alvey versus Lil Nog. Look, man, Lil Nog's still doing the thing. He's 40 years old, 42 years old. Looks every bit of it by his UFC profile picture on UFC.com. Either get surgery on your face or UFC take better pictures. I'll take Sam Alvey via KO. I think Lil Nog is definitely a legend of the sport. That's no doubt. But he hasn't fought, and this will be his 2-year mark where he hasn't fought. And Sam Alvey's active, young, and powerful. Renan Barão versus Andre Ewell. I don't know Ewell, but I'll watch that fight. But I think Renan Barão is just too damn good. I'll take Barão via decision. Chase Sherman's back. Augusto Sakai. I love Chase Sherman, the vanilla gorilla, so I will take Sherman all day, anytime you give me a chance. Francisco Trinaldo versus Evan Dunham. Believe this is Evan Dunham's last fight. Believe he already stated that. I will take Trinaldo. Charles Oliveira, another Oliveira on the card, another Brazilian versus Christos Giagos. Wow, not only does UFC not have a picture of him, they have his professional record as 0-0-0. And he is from the country of blank. Update it, do better. Charles Oliveira gets it done via submission. Very rarely pick against that guy. And then I'll say Hector Lombard, Talis Leites. I believe this is Talis Leites' last fight. I'll take Hector Lombard via KO. The Cuban gets it done. And Ben Saunders, Sergio Moraes. Ben Saunders, just because I'm such a fan of all the 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu guys and Eddie Bravo and that whole crew. So that covers everything MMA. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Watch the fights. If you can, I probably won't be watching the fights because I'll be camping, I believe. So if you guys can, hit me up on Instagram or Facebook or text me if you've got my number. Keep me updated because it's going to be tough to constantly check that stuff out. So keep me updated. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you to mymmanews.com. I write for those guys now. They are awesome. They post great content. And, I'm just really excited for that opportunity and to see where that goes. Follow my stuff. Follow everyone's stuff on that site. And until next time, guys, be good to each other.